I recently went down the rabbit hole of playing all of the Spider-Man movie games for the first ever time. It was interesting to see how some of my favorite childhood movies were used to create video games. Some work better than others, but it made me appreciate what we have today that much more. Marvel Spider-Man was originally released in 2018, but like many others, I did not have the chance to experience it until recently. PlayStation finally gave the green light to drop this game on PC, so I booted it up on my PS5. Now listen, I had planned to play this game since the start of the year. It just so had happened to drop on PC 1 month after I started playing it. So I'm still going to give my thoughts and opinion on the game nonetheless, and hopefully it can help you maybe pick it up on PC. So boom, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. It comes with about a 10-hour long main story and 3 DLCs that add another 6 to 7 hours. Now me personally, I enjoyed it so much that I ended up 100% completing the game, and I also unlocked the Platinum Trophy. There's definitely a good amount of quality content that you're going to be getting for the price that you're paying, especially on PC, since the fact there's going to be a big modding community for this game. The possibilities are really endless for what we might see in the future, so I'm really looking forward to that. Overall, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so if you want specific reactions to different points in the game, you can check out my full playthrough on my second channel. Now let's actually get to talking about Marvel Spider-Man. It was developed by Insomniac Games, which is important because they are mostly known for Ratchet & Clank, Spyro, Resistance, but they decided to kind of step out of their comfort zone to take on a Spider-Man game. I guess the closest thing they had to this was like Sunset Overdrive. I don't know if you guys played that game, but the last Spider-Man game before this one was Beanox's 2014 The Amazing Spider-Man 2, based on the movie, and they kind of had some original story in there as well. But if you watch my review on that game in particular, you know the bar was set pretty low for Insomniac. Instead of using any movie-related content, Insomniac went with a completely original storyline, and this freedom allowed them to use a great cast of characters from the Spider-Man universe. The story gives you a brief cutscene of what's to come, and then it just puts you straight into the action. Within the first 30 minutes, you're embraced with some of the best web swinging in a Spider-Man game, a well put together combat system, quick time events, and even a boss fight, all within the first 30 minutes. And I love how it just gets straight to the point, and it makes it easy to just pick up the game. You combine that with great graphics, a strong soundtrack, and decent voice acting, you automatically get locked into the game. It takes place in the usual setting for a Spider-Man game, which is the open world of Manhattan, New York. It's definitely one of the best versions we've seen though, thanks to of course the graphics, but also how alive the city feels. There's plenty of stuff to do on the map, ranging from getting collectibles, you can clear out enemy bases, you can complete different challenges around the map, you can even take pictures of famous landmarks, and there's just so much more you can do, and you get rewarded for doing all of those things, which is why it was so easy for me to 100% complete this game. You unlock different types of tokens from doing all those activities around the city, and you can use those tokens to unlock suits. And the suit designs in this game are fire. There's a great selection of suits to the point where I had a new one on every 30 minutes. Not only do some suits just look fire, but they also come with different suit powers, which is basically like an ultimate ability that you can equip with any suit that you actually want, which is a positive, so you don't have to wear a certain suit to use that suit power. They also have suit mods, which allows you to have basically 3 perks that you can equip to your suit, and you can also change those whenever you want to fit whatever situation that you're in. But then you have to think, what is a Spider-Man suit without any gadgets? You have 8 different gadgets that you can unlock and upgrade with those same tokens, and you can really just switch up your playstyle throughout the game whenever you want, and that's one of my favorite parts about it. I personally like to play stealthy as much as I possibly can, and I had all the equipment to be able to do that. The stealth combat is definitely top tier, which made me really happy. There are certain situations dedicated to playing stealthy, and you also have different versions of stealth throughout the game, so it keeps it fresh no matter what. So you're basically incentivized to do all these side activities, not only for suits, gadgets, but also for XP. The more XP you get, the more you level up. The more you level up, the more skill points you have for the skill tree in this game. The skill tree has 3 different branches, 1 branch for offensive combat, 1 branch for defensive combat, and 1 for web related upgrades. And I felt like all of the upgrades were worth it in my opinion, because it really just adds to what is possible in the gameplay. It doesn't feel overwhelming like some other skill trees in games, because everything is clearly explained. It shows a video example of the upgrade on whatever upgrade you're trying to get. And if you ever forget the controls for something, you can always check the move list in the pause menu. But the controls are pretty straightforward for the most part, so that really shouldn't be too much of a problem. But on top of all of that, the game will throw puzzles at you throughout the story. Now, the good thing about these puzzles is that they can be challenging, but they are not rage-inducing at all. There's only like, I think, 1 time puzzle that I can think of off the top of my head, and even that wasn't too bad. Other than that, there's something else I wanted to mention when solving these puzzles. The soundtrack that they play when you're solving a puzzle, I don't know why, but I just found that it was like a great fit. I enjoyed listening to it. And there's also side puzzles that you complete for XP and tokens, which is another reason to do them. All of the puzzles are pretty well placed in the story, so you never really feel like overwhelmed with any of these. And you also have the option to basically turn off all the puzzles in the game. The last thing I wanted to mention about the gameplay is that the boss fights were super dope. I enjoyed pretty much every single one in the game. They all felt like pretty intense, and it felt like a boss fight. It wasn't just some walk in the park for the most part. You actually had to lock in, and they just kept getting better and better as you got through the story. They also have boss fights in the side missions and the DLCs, so everything is worth playing at that point. And the DLCs also add new challenges, new side missions, enemy bases, and a whole lot more to do on the map besides just, you know, the new storyline. The side content is actually interesting, and it isn't that repetitive, surprisingly. It actually gives you insight to the story, and it kind of fills in those blank spots or those questions that you have, and it feels like a complete game overall. It never crashed once for me. The frame rate never took a big hit. It performed well. The most I noticed was like a few visual glitches, and very rarely I had some like voice lines that overlapped or like cut off. But you know, like I said, it felt like a complete game, which is refreshing in today's climate of gaming. Another important thing is that Insomniac Games does a great job with the accessibility settings. So if you have a hard time visually or even sometimes physically, there are settings in the game that can help you get through it. And I would strongly recommend this game if you haven't played it before, to, you know, give it a chance. I really can't wait to see how the modding community gives this game longevity, and I'm also looking forward to the sequel for this game next year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this game if you have played it already, and also let me know if you find any crazy mods on the PC version. But that's gonna wrap it up for me. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this review, and hopefully it helped you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.